Thank you for staying with us. Now, let me come back to you to continue from where we stopped. Now, don't you think what you are proposing will be raucous and uncoordinated?
There is no education in their federal constitution. Nothing. Zero, Victor. And anything that in the United Constitution, anything that is not assigned to the federal government is left to the people to decide. So there will absolutely not be chaos. Okay, let me tell you, right now, what you do in your house is not concerned, technically it's not concern of the government, Victor. You go into your room, you arrange your room the way you want, you train your children the way you want, if you do have one in the future, or you've seen someone that does that. Is there chaos? Is there chaos in our house? My parents trained me. They gave me their values, their beliefs. Is there chaos in my life? Is there chaos in my neighbor's life? No. So it is absolutely, we need to get out of this. It just, I don't blame Nigerians. We have grown up, everything is the government. So we believe that if there's no government, things will be chaos. No, absolutely not.
Well, if we take Adamu's suggestion, we'll be living in an Obesian state of nature, and life will be short, brutish, and nasty. I'd had the opportunity to travel around the world, and I'd never seen anywhere in the whole world where the government is 100% not 100% out of education. It is the responsibility of every responsible government to educate its citizens. The government may not 100% be involved in terms of financing education, but I assure you, the government plays a regulatory role in most advanced democracies. And I want to push the debate to Finland. Even in Finland, Finland has some of the best universities in the world. The government funds education, and that's why folks like us and like Adamu can go to Finland and get scholarships. I live in a country that is just about 5 million people. The government supports education so massively. What the government does not do is to impose its authority on those pupils or on those students in terms of what courses that each university or each secondary school or each institution would run. There is some level of independence for the operators to decide their syllabuses, their working conditions, but the government plays a regulatory role. Having said that, we bring back the discourse to Nigeria so that we don't lose track. Nigeria is a country of at least 180 million people. Extremely rich country in terms of naira and kobo, but poor in terms of ideas and productivity. And the reason is simple. I said earlier that our problem isn't just the government. Our problem has to do with our constitution. The concept of we, the people of Nigeria, which you have in the first preamble, is something we should debate again. We need to re-debate it, because there was no point in time when Nigerians met and decided that we're going to have this constitution that we all seem to be following. And for that constitution to remain the way it is now, we will not get it right educationally, unless it is there in our constitution that the government needs to hands off education. That's when we can told the part of Adamu.
Yeah, we have gotten it wrong from the start, but we should not forget the fact that if there is provision for these certain things, if we utilize it very well, we are going to achieve results with it. We do not need to have much money before we can utilize the little we have. If we can manage the little we have very well, we will achieve positive results with it. I do not agree with Mr. Adamu saying we should leave government out of our educational system, because as a citizen, we all pay our taxes. So it is the duty of the government to provide for its citizens. If we pay our taxes, and there's provision for all these things. So why can't we use it for what it is meant for? So I don't think we should remove the government hand from this thing. Government have to be engaged. Government have to be involved. Country government keep scholarship for people, for their students. I mean, Malaysia here, every student in Malaysia pay government fund their education, and at the end of the day, after their graduation, when they start working, they refund maybe 50% of what government have used in making them educated. So our government should be involved. So, but there must be structure. We must sit down again and structuralize our educational system. the structure is wrong in the first place. So we must rearrange and reorganize everything from the beginning again.
So what is the way forward?
Universal basic education is a fundamental right. You cannot take it away from the people. And I will not be here on this program and accept the fact that the citizens or the people can pay taxes, but the government does not have any responsibility. I totally disagree. If universal basic education is a fundamental right, then it is the responsibility of government to educate its people. It is the responsibility of government to provide those facilities, at least at that level. And that's the point we are making here. We're talking about UBEC, universal basic education now. The government has a responsibility to support the system. And supporting the system means you provide infrastructure. Providing infrastructure entails provide the avenues for conducive learning and provide the people who will teach in these classrooms and the materials that will be used in teaching. It is only until government provides all that in truthfulness and with all sincerity, and the handlers of our educational system have failed to utilize those resources very well, that we can begin to absolve the government of any blame. So I am not going to absolve the government. The blame is at the doorstep of the government to begin with. And I say this with all authority. The Nigerian government has never for once moved near providing 26% of our net national budget towards education. We have never had 15% in our history, and Nigeria is 57 years old. You cannot cook rice and expect pounded yam. It doesn't work that way. In New Zealand, where I have been fortunate to be over the last few years, you need to see what happens when kids go to school, the excitement. The fact that they don't spend so many hours learning, they spend more time recreating. And they spend little time learning. And the syllabuses or their syllabuses are trained to recognize their special needs. And that's because the regulator, which is the government, allowed that kind of independence. We don't have that in Nigeria. But we cannot get to that point without us addressing the fundamentals. Go to all our public schools in the 7th and the 4th local government. It's an eyesore. And you ask yourself whether this is a country that is so rich in crude oil, yet our pupils cannot even afford to study under the best conditions. So how do you absolve government from such blames?
All right, guys, thank you for staying with us. Thank you for sharing your thoughts as well. But then we have to leave the conversation here. We'll take a break and we'll be back with messages from our online platforms as well as the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel in the past week. Please stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This week's most viewed videos begins with the revelation by President Muhammadu Buhari that he will be appointing more members into the Federal Executive Council.
Toke Makinwa doesn't speak to me anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
From Hota.
Next in fourth is Latasha Ngube, speaking about her relationship with radio host and vlogger Toke Makinwa.
What did you say about her?
And the third spot is taken by the video of the head of the Federal Civil Service having a heated debate with the Chief of Staff to the President minutes before the commencement of the Federal Executive Council meeting.
It's a video without actuality.
Up next is the reaction from the Special Advisor on Media and Publicity, Mr. Femi Adesina, to the heated debate.
They could be discussing 1,001 things. You can't just take footage of two people talking, and then you begin to interpret and begin to suppose and conjecture what they were discussing.
And this week's most viewed video is that of movie star Mike speaking about his relationship with Mr. Adibwa.
Well, there you go. Those were the most viewed videos on our YouTube channel, and that's the program this week. Thank you for watching, and do remember, the conversation continues via the social media addresses showing on your screen. I'm Victor Matthias. Bye for now.